Holistic connection. Let's heal. Holistic connection. Let's learn. Holistic connection. Let's grow. Holistic connection. Let's be real.
Hello, everyone. This is PamelaTopjian, your host for Holistic Connections Conversations with Holistic Practitioners. And I want to welcome my guest today and ask you to please introduce yourself and share what you do in the holistic healing world.
Thank you so much, Pamela, for having me. So I am Sandra Fuentes. I am a clinical registered nurse by trade. I'm also a social worker. And to add on to that, I'm a holistic wellness practitioner. I am Reiki certified. I am a certified sound healer, and I'm also a new author.
Nice. Yeah. Let's show your book here. It's a wonderful read, and we'll get more into this in a little bit. But since you mentioned right off the bat, that you are a registered nurse, you work in social work as well, and a holistic practitioner, you mentioned this in your book too, how a lot of people have the misconception that if you are work in the medical field, you can't also be a holistic practitioner. And the same thing with Christianity. If you are a Christian, you can't also work with these energy fields and these holistic healing modalities. So you want to talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. I think it's worth noting that my background, the majority of my career in clinical nursing was in hospice and palliative care.
Mm,
And so, for those that don't know, that is very much a focus on end of life care, giving
yeah.
quality time to loved ones that have a very serious life limiting illness that we know is terminal and that will unfortunately lead to their passing. So in all those years, as both a nurse and social worker, I led teams. I was also in homes helping to care for patients, also in the hospital setting. But I think the biggest takeaway at that time was providing that holistic approach to the care we were giving. So not just treating the disease, but treating the person. And that was so important in that practice. And I took so much away from all those years in that field because it really began to evolve. And it was my very first steps into leading me into a holistic wellness
Yeah.
field. And so, again, just going back to treating the person, treating the individual, knowing what's important to them, what are their values and their beliefs, and how can we incorporate a treatment plan that is really focused on those things that are so important to the individual. So that started that pathway.
Yeah, that makes sense too. I mean, a lot of times I'm sure you're dealing with somebody's belief systems when they're at the end of life and looking for more holistic ways of helping them to make that transition and to maybe deal with what's happening at the end of life inside and out with their mind, their body, and their
Yes.
soul. Yeah, so
Yes.
that makes a lot of sense that you work in that area. So, yeah, thank you for
Mhm.
sharing that. Um,
Absolutely.
so, how did you first get started and get interested in doing this work?
Sure. So I am actually still an active practicing nurse.
Mm-hmm.
I am so blessed that I get to work from home and I get to do that
Yeah,
remotely
nice.
while I raise my boys here in Arizona.
Love that.
But it really started, and as you know from the book, it started from a place of my own healing
Mm-hmm.
and my own experience with abuse. We are abuse survivors and very open about talking about that
Mm-hmm.
because that was really the catalyst for me to start stepping into this. I was seeking the healing and the help and the support for myself at the time,
Yeah.
not knowing that it would evolve into myself becoming a practitioner in this field to help support the healing for others. And so that's something I'm very passionate about, whether it is a DV situation or just coming from a place of trauma or PTSD. Everyone's life experience is so valuable in shaping the people that we become. And oftentimes that can come with a lot of pain, a lot of
Yeah.
anger, resentment, shame. And so, as a practitioner, I wanted to step into this space and really start learning and training myself and gaining more knowledge so that I could support people in a different capacity. I will always be a nurse. I love what I do. Um, I am slowly beginning to transition out
Yeah.
of that professionally to become a full-time business owner.
Mhm.
But I love the fact that all those years of clinical experience have really given a lot of validation to what I do as a practitioner. and just helping people, even on a smaller scale, with symptoms they might be having, right? Oh,
Yeah.
I've got abdominal problems or headaches I've been having for
Hmm.
years. And then now I can introduce the mind body balance and how do we
Yeah.
work with energy and with Reiki specifically to help clear those blockages so it helps alleviate those symptoms.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that so much. It would be wonderful if you could, but I'm not sure if are you able to integrate, like say Reiki, for example, into your nursing? Do you use them together, or is it something you have to keep separate because of, nursing protocols or the care plan? How does that work for you?
Such a great question, Pamela. Thank you. So when I see my clients, I'm not acting as a nurse in that
Right.
role. However, I can bring my clinical expertise to my wellness business. And when I work with my clients and talking them again through their symptoms or what might be happening, what medications they're taking. And again, as you know from the book that thankfully you read and went through, I talk about I don't encourage you to leave traditional Western medicine. I don't
Yeah.
encourage you to stop taking your medications or stop seeing your doctors.
Right.
However, what we're doing in this alternative practice is really supporting your well-being
Mhm.
by using other modalities, very natural methods to help support that person through their illness trajectory.
Yeah. One thing that I really loved in the book that I wanted to make sure I brought up, and we'll show it again. So if you're just listening, go to YouTube and look for this episode. But it's Intuitive Wellness, your 7-step guide to healing your mind, body, and spirit. And it's got a beautiful cover. And it's not a very long read, really, but you go through so much in just this kind of shorter book. You go through a lot, but really practical as well. A couple
Mhm.
things that I wanted to mention. I love how you talk about earthing, and not only like a lot of us have heard of earthing and we think about, just walking barefoot, basically. But you talk about like tree hugging and walking
Yes.
on the beach and stuff like that. And I love that because a lot of times I have to go touch a tree. I have to go touch it. If I see it, it's just like it just calls to me. So I'm one of those people. I might not hug it, but I will go touch it and just like, feel it for a bit. But I'm not one to go barefoot that much. So that really made me feel better knowing that I was making that connection even though it wasn't through my feet and through the root system and that I still was grounding, by
Mhm.
doing that. So that was really nice. Also at the end of the book, you do have 30 days of journaling prompts and then space to write the prompts. So that's really awesome. I love journaling.
I
I
do too.
love journal prompts. So that's awesome. I love that you have that in there. So yeah, and that can be found on Amazon, and we'll have the link below. Is it also in your website? It must be on your website, of
Yes,
course.
it
Of
is
course it
available
is.
through my website. And if it's ordered through the website, actually, people can request a signed copy of the
Oh,
book.
nice. I love
Yes,
that.
the
Okay.
personal message. Yeah. And I wrote the book. I didn't set out to write a book, just so you know. It was not on my bingo card. But I had a very divine interaction with an individual who is a published author, who has a
Mhm.
publishing company, and who really just inspired me
Yeah.
to share what I'm doing with others because we know that in this space, it's seen so much as woo-woo
Hmm.
oftentimes. And I wanted to really dispel those myths
Yeah.
because it's not so scary. It could be scary for people that don't understand it, but I really wanted to bring a more wholesome approach to it and explain, as you mentioned earlier, how I am a woman of faith, but also have my spiritual space, right? And
Yeah.
how those two can coexist. And so I wanted the book to be a really nice foundation, a baseline for any reader to say, wow, these are really simple things. I might be doing some of them already and
Yeah.
not know that I am practicing holistic wellness, or people who might be curious. And then we make it less scary by saying, just walk outside on the grass and see how you feel about that, right? Or
Right.
spend the first 15 more minutes in the morning drinking your coffee outside and see what that does for your mood for the rest of the day. So that was
Right.
really the angle I wanted to really approach this book with, was just making it less scary and really introducing any reader to very simple principles that could help them.
Yeah, yeah, it's very practical and it gives a lot of information on a lot of different methods and modalities and stuff too. So I really love that. I appreciate that. So we were talking a little bit about misconceptions. Is there any of the offerings that you have and services that you have? What do you think is the one that people have the most misconceptions or most misunderstandings about?
That's an easy one. Hands down, Reiki.
Ah,
Reiki is always the one that people are so, are you doing something to me, or what
mm-hmm,
is that? And so I really just talk clients through, or even just strangers when they're like, what is that? And then
mm-hmm.
they get that face of fear on them. But I really just say it's really just about balancing the energy within you. And we really are just helping to give you some tools to find some peace within yourself and feel more
Yeah,
connected to yourself. I think there's a lot of disconnect. A lot of people are searching for ways to feel better, to feel less stressed, to feel less
absolutely.
worry. And so that's how I frame it to them, is, this is just a way to help your body relax enough so you
Mm-hmm.
can feel more connected to what's happening internally.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you work with people just one-on-one? Are you working in groups? And is it online or just in person?
I have a few different modalities that
Yeah.
I use to practice. So I do individual sessions, both in person
Hmm.
and remote. So there is distance Reiki. A lot of people don't know that these
Yes.
energy exchanges can be done remotely. So I have worked with clients as far as New York,
Nice.
Texas, right back in California, and it
Yep.
is just as effective as being in person here on my table. It's just a little different experience because you're at home, but people are typically very, very surprised
Yeah.
at how they feel, and the messages that can be received when they really allow their spirit to just receive the healing or be that facilitator of healing. So that is one. So we've got the in-person and distance remote. I have also offered mini wellness retreats. I've
Oh,
had
nice.
three of those now. We've done two in the Arizona and the Phoenix area, and we did one earlier this 2025 actually
Yeah.
in California. So that is another offering that I do. So that's more of a group setting.
Hmm.
And then also, I'm available for corporate wellness because I've spent so many
Awesome.
years in clinical leadership. I have
Yeah.
a really solid foundation in understanding the stressors that teams face and leaders face in that
Yeah.
setting. And so offering that has been incredible. And it's been very well received to be able just to do, some simple meditation techniques,
Yeah.
introduce journaling. A lot of people don't know how to journal. And I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, here we go. Here's some prompts. It's not so
Yeah.
scary, see how it feels. But really, just introducing those concepts into corporate settings as well has been really impactful for people that are dealing with burnout and
Yeah.
turnover. And, people that are accustomed to working from home and now have to go back into an office setting. That's
Mm.
such a big shift emotionally and physically for a lot of people. So that's been incredibly useful too.
Yeah, yeah, and so needed. I mean, anywhere, but if we're talking about people that work in healthcare, burnout is so prevalent. And I don't know if we mentioned it before with each other, but I'm a former licensed nurse and I let my license go in 2021. I was beyond burnt out. So I get that for sure. And that's so great that you're offering that. I think that journaling prompts do for journaling as like guided meditations do for people who've never meditated, just being guided into it, it kind of helps them introduce them and realize that, oh, I can do this. And I think it's the same thing with journaling and journal prompts. Like if they've never journaled or they're not sure how to start, those prompts can help them get started. And then,
Absolutely.
eventually they'll go off on their own, just like with
Absolutely.
meditation. Yeah, so
Yes.
that's wonderful. And people who are in the corporate world at all, and whether it's healthcare or not, I think that's so needed. That's really going to help to prevent
Absolutely.
burnout and to also take another step towards self-care because that's really a big part of what burnout is not really taking care of yourself first,
Yes.
So that helps them to take that first step towards that. So that's great. I love that. So what can somebody expect when they first reach out to you if they're interested in learning more or want to work with you? What can they expect when they first reach out to you?
I typically ask clients or potential clients, what are they currently struggling with,
Hmm.
right? So I don't necessarily want to know the full scope because I don't want to give information that is leading, right, as we do our sessions, but kind of
Mm.
just like, well, why are you seeking healing? What's going on? And, typically people will open up a little bit. And we can do a small intake process if they
Hmm.
want to go a little deeper, just to see that we're meeting their needs, that I'm meeting their needs as a practitioner. I certainly don't overpromise, but I do like to overdeliver
Yeah.
because even though my sessions can go for 45 to 60 minutes,
Hmm.
sometimes it becomes a mini therapy session, and that's okay
Yeah.
because I have a clinical social work background too. So I think people find that once they feel that initial release of emotion, and then they're like, whoa, I felt something, I feel different. I felt the tingling going through my body, or I saw colors, and then it really
Yeah.
starts to open up a lot of questions. So
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. I'm always happy to take as much time as it needs to with clients because it really just is such a miraculous experience. It's difficult to explain unless you are ready to go
Right.
through it.
Right. And I think that's true for a lot of different holistic practices. A lot of them is kind of hard to explain. And that's part of why I do this podcast so people can have the opportunity to try to get the information out there in their own words. But yeah, until you experience any of this, it's going to be hard to really understand what it's like because also it's individual, right? And it can
Absolutely.
be a different experience for one person than it is for another. So you don't really
Absolutely.
know until you go through
Mhm.
it. So where is the best place for people to reach you? You have your website, it's
Yes.
holistically3.com. And
Yes.
then you're also on Instagram with
I
the
am on
same name.
Instagram. Yes,
So,
it's holistically underscored healed three on
okay,
Instagram. Yes,
great.
but the website is holisticallyhealed3.com.
Okay,
Those are the two places I can be found. But definitely am very active on the Instagram. I can also
okay.
be emailed. My email
Hmm.
link is on my website and the Instagram as well. So I'm pretty easy to find.
Nice. Okay. We'll have those links below. So, what has surprised you the most in doing this work you're doing holistically? What has surprised you about it, and how has your life changed in doing this work?
I think the biggest surprise is how people's beliefs are starting to shift
Mm,
and they're becoming much more open. And again, it goes back to, is it woo woo? Is it black
hmm.
magic? And once you start to have real conversations about it, it dispels those myths, right? Because then people see your authenticity. And, they can tell when people are not being real about it, and they can tell
Yeah.
when someone's really passionate and cares about what
Mhm.
they're doing to help others. So I think that's been the biggest surprise is how I think when you're in this community, somehow it begins to align
Yeah.
others who either need it and don't know or are seeking some type of connection to people that are aligned. And
Yeah.
I guess they shouldn't be so surprised, but it's such a beautiful thing when it does happen, because it's all divinely timed.
Yeah.
Right. And so when I encounter another single parent, let's say I'm very active in a single moms group out here in
Mm,
Phoenix, and it's been a wonderful, wonderful place for my continued healing.
nice. Nice.
And I meet other moms too who may have gone through similar situations
Yeah.
or don't quite know where to start. And then we just start having these very organic conversations
Mhm.
about what I do. And then someone else is like, oh, I saw Sandra for that and it felt amazing and I slept
Nice.
better finally. And so it's just, yeah, that's been a beautiful thing. And I have to say, the way that it's really changed things for my family was again, just setting out to write this book that I did not have
Hmm.
planned,
Yeah.
which has been very well received. And, just the fact that I didn't imagine that having this platform would really expand the scope of this space for everybody.
Yeah.
And I think that's been like the best blessing is that so many people now I'm encountering are truly open and they're ready to step into that for themselves. And that
Nice.
just, it feels so good because that's why I think we all as practitioners are out here talking about it
Mm-hmm.
and aligning and expanding the community. It's really just to help everybody else, the collective.
Yeah. So have you worked with other nurses in your holistic practice?
Yes, so
Yeah.
I still have a lot of nurse friends.
Yeah.
Yes, that I have been able to help. Again, that burden, the
Mm-hmm.
burnout,
Yeah.
we put in so much again as nurturers, right? And when you think about healthcare providers in particular, they
Yeah.
are very much caretakers, natural caregivers. And
Mm-hmm.
so what happens with that as a consequence is we empty our cup,
Yeah.
giving so much to care for the people that we leave ourselves depleted.
Mm-hmm.
And so that has been really nice to see that
Yeah.
they're embracing it. And I get so many more people talking about, I want to go into holistic nursing, or I'm
Mm.
pursuing a holistic nursing certificate. I had no idea you were doing this. And so it's great because, again, we're expanding the community and the reach and trying to help touch as many people as we can.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. And I love that for nurses, especially, and more, like you said, it seems like people are aligning and people are finding these practices and the people who do them, it's so needed. So, is there anything else that you would like to share or make sure that people know before we end this today?
Absolutely. I would love to share the fact that I have been chosen to be a featured author and exhibitor at the Los Angeles Times Festival of Books, which is
Wonderful.
really huge. It's happening next month, April 18th and 19th at USC. This is a huge event. Last year, over 150,000 people attended. And it's a 2-day event, and it really comes full circle for me because I graduated from USC.
Oh,
That's where my
nice.
nursing and social work degrees are from. I'm a
Wow.
very, very proud Trojan. And so for me to have a booth at Alumni Park where commencement was held and where I graduated is
Yeah.
just really surreal, but very exciting.
Oh
So
my
come
goodness,
find
yeah.
me if you're in Southern California. Come find me April 18th and 19th at USC at the Los Angeles Times Festival of Books.
Nice. Congratulations.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
And is there a link that people can find that? Because we can put that below.
Yes,
Yeah.
I know it's a Festival of Books, but I can send you the handle and I'll send you the link
Yeah.
because my logo is on there as an exhibitor and
Okay.
vendor, so people will know that I'm there. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Awesome. Thank you so much. I love what you're doing and it's so needed. And yeah, everybody look in the description below for all of her information. Look for her book on Amazon. If you want a signed copy, you can go to the website. That's
Yes.
great. So I love you offer that. So
Thank
thanks for
you.
being my guest and just appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Thank you, Pamela. Thank you for doing the work and for
Oh,
highlighting this space for all of us too.
oh my goodness. You're so welcome. Thank you.